Welcome once again to another episode of Working with Gen Z. Friends, if you're just joining and new to this episode, this is a podcast which is going to look at all aspects of the Gen Z generation. The Gen Z generation is the generation of the millennial generation. Much has been spoken about the millennial generation, but the Gen Z generation will likely dominate the workforce for many, many years. So we help understanding all aspects of what motivates this generation, right? They have been and seen their context has been fundamentally very, very different than the ones of the prior generations. So having seen things like demonetization, the fake news movement, the Me Too movement, the climate change, their worldview and how they see things are very, very fundamentally different. And so we bring both local and global experts who help us to see what is their perspective. Now, today's episode is going to talk about a very, very important element, very important aspect, which is perhaps relevant to parents. If you are a parent and have a young teenager or a child who is into college, if you're a boss who are trying to just recruit a young person, or even a professor in the classroom trying to see that, okay, how do we groom this person? We're going to talk about a topic about Gen Z and careers. And as I've said in the past, that in many episodes, our context shapes who we become. So if the prior generation had limited choices of careers, today's generation don't really have that. And they have plenty of choices, and especially the choice of going on their own. So we're going to explore all aspects of entrepreneurship with our guest, who is an extremely successful entrepreneur himself, trying to understand what draws young people towards entrepreneurship. Is it fame? Is it money? What is it? Right? And hear from him on the different aspects of the journey of entrepreneurship. It looks very promising and glorious from the outside, but only when you go through it, you realize and you know that the entrepreneurship roadmap is not always a smooth one. It is the one which is built with a lot of road bumps. So with that, I want to welcome my guest. My guest today is Parag Desai. And before I invite Parag, I want to have my viewers to listen and know a little bit about Parag. Parag is a fourth generation entrepreneur in the Wag Bakri tea family, which is in the tea business since 1892, which is over 120 years, and he's spearheading sales, marketing, and international business. He's also a skilled tea taster who personally tastes teas every morning. Wag Bakri Tea celebrates 2019 as the centennial year of its India business. Now, a little bit about what Parag does. In the last 15 years, the group has progressively grown under his leadership. As part of his expansion, he has launched various brands and innovative products both in India and internationally, especially when you think about new formats like the Wag Bakri tea lounges in Ahmedabad, Mumbai, Delhi, Pune, Goa. They've created over 100 of the Wag Bakri tea mini formats across metros and mini metros as well. Parag is an active leading industry platform speaker such as CII, Tea Packeters Association of India, and Western India Tea Distributors Association, among others, which represents the Wagri tea in the country. He's a prolific speaker and a commendable voice of the industry. He has played a very pivotal role in guiding the group towards achieving various accolades for branding, packaging strategies. He's been awarded by AMA, and one of the most significant achievements among many, if I can say, is the Family Business Legacy Award given by none other than the late Pranab Mukherjee in presence of Shri Narendra Modi, our Prime Minister. Other noteworthy achievements includes India Star 2017 Packaging Award and the NRI Setu Ratna Award by Global Gujarati Federation. I have known Parag as someone from years. Of course, we've been away and out of touch for a few years, but I'm very happy Parag has agreed and taken time from his extremely busy schedule. So Parag, welcome to the show and hope all is well. How are you?
Good, Nikhil. Thank you for the kind words. I am blessed that, I have friends like you, and especially we were born and we were brought up in an era which was very different to today's Google era. So thank you for the kind introduction.
Thank you, Parag. And Parag, of course, I have known you, but if I can request to say a little more about, who you are, and of course, the group a little bit more than what I have said. So anything that you wish to add, please, our viewers would be happy to hear that.
Yeah. So my name is Parag Desai. I am the fourth generation entrepreneur at the Wag Bakri Tea Group. I joined the business in the mid 90s, and we are a family business. We expanded post 99 in the Y2K time. I did my overseas education in the US. I came back during that time, and I learned my tea testing from J. Thomas and Company, Calcutta, where I was working for a year. So I am a hybrid of the old age as well as the new age. So I have seen the comments, and we lead a digital life. I think we are really blessed to have experienced both the eras. In terms of size, we are the world's largest privately held packaged tea company, and we are the third largest by size in India. The guys above us are Unilever and Tata's, which both are multinationals. So we take pride as of ours being a strong Indian company. My forefathers came to India from Africa, where they used to own tea gardens. To so and we take pride in serving the best quality teas everywhere, wherever we are present. Thank you.
Absolutely, Parag. So thank you again once more, Parag. Let's start the show. I want to begin by saying, Parag, you're obviously fortunate. You, as you mentioned, you're the fourth generation entrepreneur. But if you look around, and there is a huge movement, if I can say, in the India today, as you mentioned, the old and the new India, where entrepreneurship is becoming extremely popular. Right? Recently, there was this survey in which we said that we're now the second or the third largest, where the amount of startups are coming up. So my question to you, as an experienced entrepreneur, having seen your family and forefathers, right, what is drawing the young generation, the Gen Z, towards entrepreneurship? Right? Is it money? Is it fame? Is it this sense of independence? What are you seeing?
Yeah, so I am lucky that we are also one of the original trustees of IIM Ahmedabad, and I had been the first guest of honor when they started the IIM Center for Incubation, which is a center for startups. And I am personally involved in so many startups, ideas, mentorship, etc., that I can feel that what you are saying is really, on the right target. Well, the Gen Z, which you just called the youngsters, I believe are people who are born post 1995. And I believe these people are so knowledgeable, they have so much access to media that they, I believe, put a lot of impetus on the quality of life. I don't think they have any doubt about the standard of life, because I remember in many conventions and convocations at IIM, one of the things every new student would say that, when I retire, I want to have my own house. Now times have changed. Now, while they are studying, or even before they are studying, they already have 2, 3 houses. So, Gen Z, I believe, is giving a lot of impetus on quality of life. They definitely also want to make the world a better place, because they know how it's been destroyed versus what it was earlier. And they are choosing entrepreneurship because only entrepreneurship can give freedom as well as responsibilities to whatever they want and whatever they would like to do.
Yeah, excellent. So, Parag, you've obviously been able to, in your role as you've grown the group with your leadership and others, as you think about these youngsters, right? Many of them who are trying to take it on their own, right? What are the kind of things do they need to think about, right? If you're fortunate enough to have a family who has a business, you are fortunate to learn from it. But if I am a new youngster just thinking about entrepreneurship, right, what are in your mind, what are the 2 or 3 top things that they should keep in mind as they think about taking the entrepreneurial path?
Yeah, so recently I had the good opportunity of spending a couple of days with a lot of entrepreneurs under the TIE annual platform, wherein they invited me to meet these people who had come from all across India and many parts of the world. And a similar discussion, they had asked me to give a keynote address on a similar topic, and I will share what I told them. Is number one is I believe they have to learn to observe. A lot of people, like, we read a lot of business books now from the early 60s to now. Most of the writers have said about the power of observation and the importance of being a good listener. This something is diminishing year on year, so a lot of people want to give a reply to a WhatsApp in some microseconds, or reply to a mail with reply to all in even lesser time. So I would believe that observation is something which is a trait which should be embedded in your body language, in your way of life. Another thing is patience. A lot of people, they end up losing patience in just a couple of years. Now, I tell a lot of these entrepreneurs that if you have belief in your own idea, you have to give it a little bit time, more patience. Failure is something that is very good if you get it in the beginning of your new business or new idea. But in between also, if you get it, give it a little time and patience. And I'm sure you'll understand through this journey as to what you exactly want in life. And also to do something what we call as, as we were kids, we were taught by parents to organize our desk, our table, if you would call it. Today, people can't organize their laptop, their lives in similar fashion, So tomorrow, someone wants to scale up, and if I ask them, okay, how we are going to scale it up, he says, I'll think about it, So you need to adapt, and you need to be able to look into the future by doing things in a more organized way. I think for a startup, it is very important to look at things how they will be when you are at a larger scale, and that is what organization skills will teach you. Time or resources irrelevant, Also,
Sure.
I believe there is no specific time to start an entrepreneur journey, but sooner is better. And this will make people also mentally strong. A lot of people today, as we read in various media, people are, I don't know what is the right word to use, but a lot of people say that, oh, I'm taking these pills for depression, or these pills for having a better sleep, etc. This is something that should be avoided, and there's nothing like sweating it out and having a good night's sleep. So I think these things should be sufficient.
Yeah, and Parag, so you make some excellent points that the road is not easy. If you fail, that's in a way a good thing because you can learn from it. And inculcating things like observing skills, listening skills, right? And of course, it's easier said than done. And I know that from my experience of working with even many experienced seasoned leaders, you see that is something that doesn't happen. I mean, that has to be practiced in your experience. If you're a young entrepreneur, right, how do you go about acquiring this? Do you get a good mentor? Do you work for a good company? I mean, do you work for a group like yours who's built from ground up and has the entrepreneurial ethos? What could be a good way for a young Gen Z to even just think about the basic traits of entrepreneurship? What, or do you just learn as you go? Is that what you would recommend?
Yeah, I would say that, rather than, my saying that my group is a great mentor or anything else, I think experience is the single largest thing that will teach you things, and experience in the right direction. A lot of people want to do 10 things at the same time, and that's not giving them experience. That's a transaction that they are doing. By to gain experience and to learn your lesson is something that it's, as you can equate it to, okay, you can't learn how to swim if you don't fall in the water. And you have to believe in God, and you have to believe in whoever your mentor or whoever you look up to, maybe your parents. Like, I would say in India, we are blessed to have wonderful family life, parents, grandfather, grandmother, elders, who will teach you what is right. But for that, you have to fail first, and you have to, like I said earlier, be a good listener and a good observer. One of the other things I would like to add is that people need to get into the habit of writing down their, like a daily diary or from their experiences, etc. Because today, in this entire digitization and this virtual world, people forget to write down what was important or what they learned. So I believe writing is a very important trait which people should have, and especially writing down their experiences. And be it success, be it failure, is not important, but writing down is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a great advice, because this is something And especially for that generation, because they are spending so much time on the device, and where is the thought process sort of settling in, and writing becomes a good outlet. It's a good way to because how much time are you actually spending? Like you told me, Parag, that if you want to speak to someone, it's best to pick up the phone, right? Avoid another message, and writing becomes a good way to share what is happening with you.
Very true.
Yeah. Now, Parag, let's talk a little bit about your own journey. Of course, you've seen a couple of generations beforehand, but in your tenure or in your leadership as now, right? You've taken the group to a whole new level. What has been the toughest patch for you, especially as an entrepreneur? And I'm going to use that word because you've tried and learned and done different things, right? And how did you overcome it? Because India is a market which is very, very complex in terms of demographics, and there are always price pressures. You have very established players like Unilever, Tata, and so on, right? So, can you share any particular part of the journey where which you thought that okay, this was the part which made us separate, and what are the things that you did to come to that?
Yeah, so we can talk till the sun goes down on what who all taught me what, and every day is a new experience. Like today morning, I was on the call with an international group of people who were discussing logistics, and there was a time during COVID and even after that, wherein for my business I was not able to get a container at the right price, and sometimes not even get a container, which most of our teas are shipped through the sea. And today it's exactly the opposite. So since last 1 week, we now have empty containers who no one is willing to give freight because there is no business happening ahead of the curve. So every day is a new challenge, and every global thing is impacting India and our business. Because see, we are now having a large footprint in more than 55 countries, as I said earlier, and I cannot expect a one-stop solution for all. Plus, we are very professionally run, so uh, we as owners hardly look at day-to-day running of our businesses, or like you mentioned, Unilever, Tata, bigger than us. Yes, they were at one point of time, but now that is the least of the problem. Now the problems that we are facing are global in nature. We pick and choose what is something that we are interested or we should be a part of, like the logistics problem I just mentioned is impacting our business and our lives in a very big way. Also the pandemic, during that time, we had around 900 people on our group's payroll, and how to take care of them and their families, how to look at something where one has an answer. Like I remember, I went and sat with the chief minister of Gujarat, saying that you are telling don't go out of the house, and you don't have a vaccine. Now how do these people work? And a lot of them have infant kids. A lot of them have settled in Gujarat from other states. How do they operate? And he also at that point of time, had no reply. And then the prime minister formed a task force. We were part of that, and then slowly steadily we came out as a nation. We were one of the first people to do a lot of things, and I'm very proud of the fact that our people benefited due to whatever we did during those trying times. Also talent acquisition. Today I think the single largest thing I look at, after looking at how can I buy the best quality of tea that is grown anywhere in the world, is that how I can recruit the best talent available to me today, and how do I retain them. Today it's a big challenge. Like most of the people, I'm sure you are aware, they don't look at loyalty as a trait anymore. They just look at, people are very functional, people are very independent to the level that when you ask them that why have you changed 5 jobs in 2 years, they just look at you and they just laugh it off. So people have become very thick skinned. At the same time, the quality of workforce, the 1% that is available, is excellent. Means if you can hire and retain the 1% that is available today, I believe they can do wonders for our business. We treat everyone like family, so every employee is more or less a family member for us, and it's a big challenge. Also, we take a lot of initiatives on the CSR front, on things like global warming, things like Medicare, things like education. We have a foundation which pays the fees of the people who can't afford the fees for higher education. So my people, they work with me, we share the same vision, and they give their time and their energy. I just add a little bit of money to that, and that's how we make a difference. So recruiting the right people and maintaining the right family of atmosphere at work is very challenging today, and that's what takes a lot of my time.
And Parag, so what all do you do? This is a challenge that a lot of companies are facing. You shared a few things. How successful has that been? And do you also make these youngsters or the young folks who, as you say, that they're sharp and very talented? Do you give them new assignments? Do you give them new exposure? What are the ways in which you are able to retain them? Because, as you said, loyalty is going down.
Yeah, so I can give you a example wherein a lot of people are now reading in the media that say Dubai has 4-day working and
Hmm.
India has 6-day working.
Hmm.
Now,
Hmm.
why can't we be like Dubai? So then my answer to them is please go to Dubai and see how a 4-day working actually is. It's like no one is free sitting at home at 3 days that you are on, not supposed to work. But it's a different, like, a lot of people have incomplete knowledge. So we have the Vagbakri way of doing things. We have our, corporate policies written up in black and white. So then we share it with people, and we are very clear from day one that look, if you are joining us, this is the Vagbakri way. You will have to be eager to forget the past, not look at what is desirable, rather look at how to give confidence to your employer, which is us. So after 3 years, then we start taking feedback from them. Someone wants to go on a sabbatical, someone wants to pursue some interest. It's something that our HR team discusses with them, and at the end of 3 years, they get into a wonderful dialogue on things like how can we have a better quality of life, how our kids can get a better higher education. We use our international network to get the best colleges or the best opportunities for their second generation, and this is what take things forward you know
Absolutely. Fantastic. So, Parag, a couple more questions. I know you're in transit. Well, my one question is that, okay, if you're a Gen Z and, I've spoken about all the things that you should keep in mind. Now, are there some things that you should not do? In other words, there is a lot of peer pressure in the young generation, irrespective of which generation, right? So if I see someone else doing it, I want to do it. But the road of entrepreneurship is not always a smooth one, right? And any particular advice you would say that, okay, please don't do this. In other words, be careful of these things when you think about charting your own path as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, so I tell a lot of people don't lose patience. A lot of people, they actually lose patience. Number two, I always have a long term view. So I tell my whoever that listens to me, I tell them that just don't look at things like funding. Today in the real world, there are various rounds of funding, and there is excess capital. All of us are seeing that all the capital coming into India or being invested in companies with good ideas, etc., at a startup stage is like almost free capital. Now, a lot of people want to, look at things like, oh, what's my market cap, or what's my value, or how much am I worth, rather than they should look at, how is the business growing? Is it growing according to what was planned for the first 2 3 years? So a lot of people give a lot of importance to these kind of things, which actually mean nothing. Like today you see that someone's like the Amazon owners' capital would be wiped off by these many billions every day, and they would be added another these many billions every day. Does he
Mm.
care? I doubt. But it's the idea that has made Amazon where it is today. So I tell a lot of people to keep patience. Also, I tell have a balanced life. A lot of people don't look at their reading habits, food habits, their fitness habits. Things like mental fitness is very important. You can't just be checking your phone after 10 o'clock at night, or before 8 o'clock in the morning, and not give enough time to other priorities in life. So a lot of people I see, they end up with broken marriages, medical issues, etc., at a very young age. Things like diabetes, hypertension. They can't sleep well at night, etc. are all because, they don't balance their lives in the right way. So, there is only so much that you can do in 8 hours or 12 hours every day. After that, you need to also spend time in thinking, how can I give back to the society? You and me were educated at a time wherein it was considered, like, I remember a subject called moral science, which was there, wherein
Yes.
you are taught in school what is right, what is wrong. Today's education system does not have such topics, so you need to go out and acquire that knowledge, that what is right, what is wrong, how can you give back to the society, things like that. And for that, it requires time. You need to tread the path which a lot of other people have tread, but you need to tread the path by yourself. So I think, in a nutshell, this is all I can put my thoughts together as.
Thank you, Parag, and very valuable advice, because they are growing up in a generation where everything is quick, their attention spans are shrinking. They want everything. The quick result is is the world in which they have grown up. And you make a very important point of balancing work-life priority, because everything comes at a cost, right? If you are achieving success, have you let go your health? If you got good health, what about something else, right? And so that balance and kind of equanimity is very, very important. Any last words of advice, Parag, as we close out? I mean, to the listening Gen Zers, to the budding the college students who are going to come out wanting to think about being as entrepreneurs, or even parents. What else would you say when you think about just the Gen Z generation and entrepreneurship? Any final thoughts? Any kind of words of advice?
Nothing much, but all I can say that, like, our Wagbakri tea group has been going on for 5 generations now. And the single largest thing that has made us where we are today is because of our ethics, number one, and number two, our belief in quality. So any entrepreneur who is doing a startup should put these two things first. Number one is ethics, no shortcuts. And number two is the quality. Whatever you do, the quality is, like, if you are in the service industry, the experience has to be world class. If you are in a product industry, the product has to be really world class. So if you are doing these two things, the rest will follow, and success will be yours, definitely, if not in the short term, in the long term. So I think that would be my last words on, if I say quote unquote advice to Gen Z, because that's a word which I have not used in a long time.
Parag, thank you again, and I will reiterate what you've said. Ethics and qualities should supersede everything, right? You're not chasing money, you're not chasing titles, you're not chasing wealth. Everything will fall in place if you do these things first and do it properly. So, Parag, absolutely fabulous connecting with you again, my friend, and I really enjoyed. I appreciate you taking the time from your very, very busy schedule. I am hopeful and confident that all our listeners across the globe who are listening will be inspired from hearing about you, your journey, and the Wagbakri group. Of course, all of us here know that. So thank you once again, and I look forward to seeing you and meeting you very, very soon. Take care.
Thank you, Nikhil, and it was a wonderful interactions. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.